Hello everybody, Good Buddy Q here with more Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Last we left off, my poor chocolate man's dead. We gotta figure out who the fuck did him in. I have my theories, but again, I'm not gonna say anything, but we gotta go to the trial now. Oh boy. Thank you all for coming. If you will please follow me, I will show you to the area where you will be having your trial. Yes, that is English. And watch your step. This stairwell is quite dark. A dark stairwell. Perfect spot to murder someone unnoticed. I doubt anyone here will do that. How good is your judgment? Well, I am the judge. Considering my name, I would say it is pretty good. He. Bitch. If you are so insistent, then fine. I'll add a new rule. No murdering anyone on the way to a murder trial. That's just a bit over excessive, isn't it? If you kill someone after someone else has been killed and a trial hasn't taken place yet, you will automatically be executed with no questions asked. Are you satisfied now? Very. I will go to the courtroom now. Did that asshole say that's a stairwell? I can carry you down the stairs, since you can't walk. I guess that's fine, but don't drop me. I would never. On purpose. Yeah. Still nervous. Let's go. I really need to stop shaking. I won't be able to focus during the trial. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I know Spanish, not Italian. And with the squished words, it makes it hard to read. Now that everyone is here, I would like to go over a few things. While it would be wonderful to see you all screaming at each other and make absolutely no progress in finding the killer, I would think it'd be best in this situation to hold a organized trial. I don't want you to guide you too much, as it is your job to get information and come to your own conclusions amongst yourselves, but I occasionally will chime in. I would also like to bring 3 things to your attention. Firstly, note that your info pad gives you some of the victim's basic information: cause of death, time of death, location of death, description of body. This information is verifiably correct. I have my ways of obtaining this information, and this information given is always correct. So this tool is very useful to you. Secondly, I may change the debate format if I feel it is required for productive trial. More on this later. Thirdly, at the end of your trial, we'll have to vote on who you think the killer is. This vote does not have to be unanimous, like most juries, but it does have to be a majority vote. So, with that out of the way, you all may begin your trial. I think it's pretty obvious who the killer is at this point. Do we even need a trial? An obvious killer? Already? Please, enlighten us, Lisha. Don't play dumb, Raj. You suspect me? You do have a motive. You didn't get along with the victim. You also brought a weapon to a party. You fought with the guy, tried to kill him once, and when he caught you, then you had to think of a plan B. Such heavy accusations with no evidence. No evidence? You brought the knife! Firstly, I've established multiple times that the knife was not mine. Secondly, what does that incident have to do with this case? It's a potential motive. Come now. You're all being absolutely ignorant. This is meant to be an investigation. The main form of debate in this trial is the evidence presentation. One of your peers will make an incorrect claim in red, or a correct claim in green. You must refute this claim with the correct evidence. You'll be given several options for evidence. Simply choose which piece of argument is present to help the argument. Alternatively, you may be asked to spell out your evidence or select it from the evidence menu, so watch out for that. You are accusing me of being suspicious when I have done nothing suspicious and indicate I could have killed him. Locking the infirmary? No, that's a lie. What have I done then? While I was going to investigate, you unlocked the infirmary. It's true that the door was locked. I got up to use the bathroom in the lobby, and then when I came back, the door was locked. Locked it? Wait, why did you do that? I locked it so no one could go in there and tamper with potential evidence. Why would you lock the infirmary but not anywhere else? It's a point of interest for this case. You also ran in and told us to run away from the body unless we want to die as well. You didn't even let us have a moment to see if we could help him. If we could have revived him somehow. Doesn't let anyone go near the body and threatens anyone who tries to? I don't need any more convincing. Before I even try to respond to that, I think we should look at the other details of the case before you continue to accuse me. Rajesh has a point. We haven't even discussed the scene, cause of death, or autopsy. That would be a good place to start. Giorgio, you were with Bosch right before he died. Can you tell us what happened? Sure. So it started when I was with Carlos in the infirmary. Liz was there as well, but she left to go get some food because she was with me all night and hadn't eaten. After she left the room, Carlos and I were talking for a while. Then Bosch came in and asked where the painkillers were. Then he asked me if he could talk to me outside privately. He and I talked by the fountain for a little while. Then he wanted to show me his lab, so we walked into the lab building. He got really quiet for a while and was walking really slowly. And when I turned around to ask him a question, he looked. Don't push yourself. You don't need to keep giving a testimony if it's too overwhelming, Giorgio. No, it's fine. He looked very unwell. His face was pale like a ghost. His eyes almost scared. Almost like he knew what was about to happen. I asked him if he was okay, and he just fell. I screamed for help, and then Chanchai came over and checked on him. After that, Mr. Nyo came over and Chai said he should take him to the infirmary. And then the judge's announcement played. Well, this is so sudden. He must have hit his head or something while you weren't looking. I agree. You should have noticed him getting shot or stabbed. None of those things are possible. There's no way he was shot, stabbed, or killed by blunt force trauma. How do you know? He was killed really suddenly, so there's a possibility he could have had a head injury. No, there's clear evidence that's not what happened. That info pad that the judge gave us already listed the cause of death. He died from cardiac arrest. Oh, good. I was worried that no one would read the data I so carefully collected. I didn't look at it. I thought it would be pointless information. Bitch. I agree. A healthy young man doesn't just die from cardiac arrest. It has to be induced. Is it possible that something hit him in the head and then gave him a heart attack and died? What? This isn't a joke, Vlad. It's a real trial. I'm not joking, Elizabeth. I'm just trying to brainstorm ideas, God. Brainstorming is fine. We are completely open to that, but we have evidence that what you said isn't possible. Autopsy. The body didn't have any injuries around the head, right? That's what you guys said when you looked at them. No external injuries outside of his already injured arm. So we can say for sure that his death wasn't caused by being hit by something. So, Prince Boy, what do you mean it has to be induced? Sudden cardiac arrest can have many causes. There's always some sort of internal alteration within the body. Usually cardiac arrest is a result of underlying condition, but in this case I doubt we would be having a trial like this, yes? I can confirm death by disease is not considered a killing based on my criteria. If he had died from a disease he already had, then we would not be having the trial. There is no reason a healthy young person like Bosch would suddenly die of cardiac arrest unless there was some foul play going on. Good job. You cracked the case. He was murdered. Wow, we really should have a trial or something. The sarcasm isn't necessary. You're trying to filibuster to convince us you know what you're talking about to prevent people from looking at you at the suspicious shit you did. Seriously, again with these accusations. Li Shao and I saw your concealed weapon. And so we know you're lying about the whole knife thing. You're going to be trying to deceive us by guiding the investigation to skirt around the evidence that you did eat. Wait, concealed weapon? Yeah, while we were working in the scrapyard, I noticed something he had something under his pant leg. I tripped him so we can get a cheaper look. Oh, that's why he just bonked him over. I tripped him and that helped us get a cheaper look. Clear look, God, not cheaper. He had some kind of blade in a sheath on his ankle. I remember when he did that. So he did trip him on purpose. So we can say with confidence that he has weapons. Fine. I'll admit that I carry some concealed weapons. But do you really think I would be stupid enough to carry a knife in my pocket? Really? My weapons are strapped to my body, and they are not something that can just slip out. So, you're saying you didn't bring a knife to the party? I'm saying that the knife was not that was in the sand was not mine. I'm surprised that none of you are throwing accusations at Giorgio, who was the one that bumped into me right before the knife appeared in the sand. You can't be blaming Giorgio. What is so abnormal about this accusation? The knife appeared next to us. None of you saw me drop it, so why would that rule out Giorgio? There's no way Giorgio would kill. He cared about Bosch. He even saw his reaction to his death. And how do we know that reaction was genuine? He could have been faking a panic to shake people off his trail. Yeah, fuck you! Crocodile Tears accusation. Fuck off. He's just trying to shift the blame. You have to admit, it is looking a bit suspicious for Giorgio. He left the infirmary with Bosch, then Bosch dies. He could have killed Bosch in that time. He's also very well could have brought that knife to the party, bumped into me intentionally, and dropped the knife as a means of framing me for a future crime. I wouldn't do that! Saying you wouldn't do it is a worthless argument. You're going to get sympathy points. You're just trying to get sympathy points using your reputation. I need to find something to prove my innocence. But what can I use? I don't have anything to prove I didn't bring a knife. Ignore the knife incident and stop the accusations. Just stick to figuring out how he died. Very good idea, Marcel. He had no external injuries. However, we did find an important detail. His mouth. It was the blood in the mouth, right? Yes, his mouth was full of blood. So, no, his cause of death was internal. But what exactly caused it? The only option I can think of is poison. If he didn't have any external injuries, he would have needed to put some substance into his body. And now you all know why I forced you away from the body. Not foul play, like you all assumed. Someone doesn't just keel over and die like that from nothing. His body and clothing were likely contaminated from whatever poisoned him. So he was poisoned, but how? He was hyper-vigilant. How could someone poison him without him noticing? What if he did, though? What do you mean? When you said the cause of death was poison, and when you said he just died out of nowhere, what if he poisoned himself? What? There's no way he did that! I actually agree with Vladimir. That sounds like an incredibly plausible conclusion. Absolutely not! No. It couldn't have been suicide. I don't want to agree with Rajesh, because he's still pretty suspicious, but I'm not buying the suicide thing. It seems the only option at this point. Judge, how would a suicide be handled in this court? Is the trial null if it's suicide? Great question, Heracles Carpusi. Suicide is still considered murder under my rules, and thus you would still need to properly prosecute the killer. Would you still execute the... Please shut your trap. It's obvious it works the same fucking way. Stop asking dumb fucking questions. There's no freaking way. He wouldn't have killed himself. Well, he would have noticed someone injecting him and putting poison in his mouth. There's so many ways someone can do that. Don't just jump to suicide. Did Bosch really kill himself? I don't think that's true. I feel like he wouldn't. Oh dear. It seems half of you think one thing and half of you think the other. I suppose this is a good time for that affirmation debate change format, yeah? To dispel the large debate, each side will deliberate amongst themselves. You will hear each person's statement. Then two sides will face off in rapid-fire debate. Oh no, I'm scared. You will have to remember who said what statement and use the correct statements to refute the other side. What? Keep in mind, you might not use every statement. You and I were in the infirmary when he came in. He wouldn't have killed himself over anything that happened, eh? Just because someone didn't see it doesn't mean he killed himself. He was talking about our future here together. There wasn't a struggle, but that means jack shit anyways because he was poisoned. Bosch did carry out a lot of threats and accusations. Maybe he wanted to do the deed before someone else did? Giorgio. There's no way he'd give up hope. And when he was talking to me right before he died, he was talking about our future here together. He could have gotten poison from the infirmary. Then he took it right before he go into the lab building. Carlos? No. Gio and I were in the infirmary when he came in, and we watched him take the painkillers from the cabinet. Before that, Liz and I hadn't seen him come in. Did anyone witness the poisoning, though? His lack of external injury showed there it wasn't a struggle, but that means jack shit anyways because he was poisoned. He could have just given up hope. There's no way you'd give up hope. Yeah. Wait, did we just go over? Did I get something wrong? Oh. Carlos. Okay. I guess suicide isn't plausible then. I guess I got one wrong. You all done debating now? I've been waiting for you all to finish. I talked to Chun Chai before the trial, and he gave me an important piece of evidence, something I'm certain caused his death. Lily? Pill? Note? No. Unless I need to... Let's try note. Is it the threatening note? Precisely. As soon as we had mass, I went to the infirmary and inspected the cabinets. While most things in there were different forms of medicine, there was indeed an entire section in the middle row of the cabinets dedicated to various poisons. When I talked to Rajesh, I told him the signs I was seeing, and I tried to figure out which form of poison was used. Then he asked to see the note, so I gave it to him. I have the note here. Notice that the corner is gone. I used that piece of the paper for this colorimetric test kit. What's that? A kit that's used to test for a specific chemical or substance. You're able to tell if a sample is a substance, if it's... Gosh, in the contents, a defile change color. I did it! Wow, young soul, you're smarter than I thought. Is that meant to be a compliment? I'll take it. Which poison is that colorimetric test for? The most fast-acting poison I could find in the cabinet. Cyanide. I assumed that, based on the brief autopsy report I was given, that this poison was most likely the culprit. The kit takes a while to fully process the sample, but this trial has been long enough that I think it should be ready. And there you have it. I was right.
Such a dark color. The note must have been saturated.
Absolutely. It's a good thing that we wore gloves and masks while handling the note and body. Cyanide is incredibly toxic, even with just skin contact. I assume Bosch touched this letter without any hand protection, and that is how the cyanide entered his system. What? So, he was poisoned? Yes. It also doesn't help your case that you were in the infirmary right before he died. I have to be able to prove myself innocent.
Let's see.
Liz and Carlos were in the infirmary the entire time. They saw me come in. They would have seen me take out poison from the shelves.
So, Giorgio was saying that you both saw him come in and Carlos saw him leave, and at no point did he grab the poison. Is this correct?
Yes. He didn't grab any poison while I was in there.
He didn't touch anything. He's innocent.
Did he only go into the infirmary once? Well, he went to the infirmary just after dinner last night, but he didn't touch anything in there.
Did anyone else go in the infirmary?
No one did.
The cyanide in the infirmary is not in a liquid form. From what I've seen on this note, there is no trace of any kind of residue. The cyanide had to be dissolved in the water applied to the note. A cyanide is a very short half-life in water, so the killer would be unlikely to get any use of it if they'd stolen it a few days ago. So both of your testimonies tell me that Giorgio is guilty! I just fucking said he didn't touch anything! You're being irrational.
I have to find some way to disprove it. There has to be something I can use. Wait, that's it!
You want to trust him because he's your friend. Because he was the only other person in the infirmary, and you and Liz confirm he saw them. Carlos' ghost. Actually, he's right.
I think someone else went to the infirmary last night.
Carlos, didn't you say you heard a ghost? Yeah, I heard the weird sound. Is it better?
What if that was someone sneaking into the infirmary? Wait, what?
You really think two people wouldn't see someone entering the infirmary?
It was at night.
So?
So they didn't see the person.
If someone had entered the infirmary, they would have noticed. After two people in the infirmary heard noise, they would have turned on the lights to see who made it.
Well, not exactly. Because when Carlos heard the noise, I was asleep in my chair. So I wasn't alerted what happened until he woke me up. He was freaking out. I kept telling them he must have been hearing things. Finally, after keeping insisting he heard a ghost, I got up and tried to look around the infirmary. I flicked the light switch, but I assumed I flicked the wrong one because the lights didn't turn on.
I think I know what happened. The killer must have caused a power outage. The killer must have known there was poison in the infirmary and where to find it. They wanted to go in and retrieve the Bosch the next day, but they couldn't go in after dinner because Elisabetta and Carlos were in there the whole time. They went to the infirmary at night while everyone was sleeping. They could knock out the power to prevent Liz or Carlos from seeing them into the infirmary. So their presence was noticed. They wouldn't have been able to see by either of them because the lights don't work. And since everyone's asleep, no one would notice the power going out. Where was his intelligence when you were shooting yourself in the head with a soda bottle? I save my big brain energy for the important things.
That's too convoluted of a plan.
How so?
I just don't think it would work. I don't think that's what the killer did.
Then how'd the killer get the poison if Carlos and Liz can both confirm that Giorgio didn't touch anything in the cabinets while they were in the infirmary? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, I win. I think Young-soo was right. The killer had little time to mix their poison and two possible witnesses. They must have escaped before either saw those two, and knew they wouldn't leave the room for any reason. Liz refused to leave my side, so there's no way he'd leave the infirmary. And me, well, I couldn't get up, even if I wanted to.
So the killer cut the power, snuck in, took the poison, snuck out, then reactivated the power? If that's what you want to go with.
Ignore him. He's just going to complain that we came to a different conclusion.
Meh. The power went out yesterday during the evening, right? So if we had two power outages, do you think the killer caused the first one too?
I think the first one was just a test to see if they could do it.
But how did they cause a power outage? The only one way to power outages. Circuit box? There's that circuit box in the main building. They had to mess with it in order to cut the power.
So somebody messed with the circuit box to cause the blackout. So you did do it. What?
Not you, pool boy. I saw that wannabe Socrates by their box. I had a feeling he was up to something. I asked what the hell he was doing, and he said nothing. Don't worry about it.
Mr. Heracles?
What?
Hetalia said you caused the power outage yesterday. The one night before dinner.
Power outage? Oh, yeah.
You're saying yes, meaning that you did it?
Yeah, that was me. I cut the power around 5 o'clock yesterday at the transmission tower. I tried to hide it, but unfortunately Natalia caught me red-handed. I don't think someone will just admit to their crime like that. Maybe he's just hitting his head or something? What's with you and head hitting?
Heracles, you didn't.
Naps. No, nice nap. Get discharged. Why is that important right now? Is a man not allowed to take a nap? Well, that's suspicious. Rajesh is also not at the investigation.
Good point. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Were you the one who dropped that knife?
Oh, right. That was me as well.
You brought that knife to the party just to frame me?
That's a bit presumptuous, Rajesh. I brought it for self-defense, just like everyone else did. No one else brought weapons to the party.
Really?
We're not fucking insane, so no. I thought everyone else would be bringing weapons as well. A large gathering of strangers who've been giving incentives to murder each other in one small area. Who wouldn't carry a weapon?
I told everyone explicitly not to bring weapons to the party!
Well, I wasn't there for the initial invitation. Nor did I hear that said at any point. So I suppose that's my bad. Also, I should have secured it with a clip so it wouldn't fall out of my pocket. Though, you said that knife specifically wasn't yours. But you never said you didn't bring any weapons to the party, Rajesh. I think you had some weapons on you, did you not? In fact, you left the beach after the party was set up. I presume you went back to your room or lab to get some concealed weapons, just in case Bosch tried anything funny. Right? I hit the nail on the head. Don't worry, I'm not accusing you of murder. I know you didn't do it. Then why the hell did you go through that whole line of questioning? Just to be clear the record, being part of the philosopher means finding the truth, and I can't stand misinformation and misconceptions.
And so everyone would just forget that you admitted to murder?
Admitted to... So, my charge is being upgraded from guilty of cutting the power yesterday to evening to murder. Interesting. So you have anything to prove that besides the power outage?
I do.
Let's see.
The nut was poisoned. Came back on it from sauce I made yesterday. I didn't see anyone at the dinner table with any kind of paper, so there's no chance that anyone wrote the note while they were eating. However, I delivered a plate of food to your door.
Ah, so the note was stained by my plate.
It had to be. Chan Chai and I collected all the plates after dinner, so no one brought their food over to any place where that note could have been written. You also knocked out the power yesterday. You also had a knife, which means you could have hurt someone at some point if you really had the opportunity. So, Mr. Heracles, I think we'd say you're the culprit.
Now, might I ask you all a question?
Last words? Sure, why not?
If I say, witness the killer in the act, would that be considered reasonable evidence enough to clear me?
No, because you're a nutcase.
Heracles, you witnessed the killer poisoning the note? I would say so.
Then give us a testimony, for Christ's sake! Stop with the mind games!
Calm down, Rajesh. I simply wanted to ask if you all would believe me. I'm glad that I finally got the opportunity to present this evidence I have. While I wasn't present for the investigation, I'm pretty sure my eyewitness testimony is the most definitive piece of proof in this case.